I remember being around 8 years old when I first fell in love with a computer game properly, and that was Championship Manager Italia, and I haven't really stopped since. Gamers vs Depression is for 16 to 24-year-old men. We chose that demographic specifically because of the statistics from the World Health Organization that seem to suggest that this is a really important age group, particularly in young men, to really try to prevent any kind of serious mental ill health developing further down the line. There's two parts. So the first part is to try to use video games to increase mental health literacy and try to break down some of the stigma around speaking about if you are struggling. The other component is around trying to develop a community for gamers to create a space where they can kind of discuss any challenges they're experiencing in their own lives whilst playing games, to help these young men to open up around some of the challenges they're experiencing.
I would have really benefited from an incentive like this. I think it's very facilitating for talking about potentially more sensitive matters.
We know that mental health struggles are increasing. People have been basically turning to games and turning online really to fulfill that social connection that we've just not been able to have in person over the last year. For a man, sometimes it's quite hard to start those conversations, especially if you've been shut in your house for 18 months. Having some kind of mechanism that you're excited about, I completed that level or I've done this, it's an icebreaker, it's just something to start that conversation.
You know, I've confided in people I've met purely just online friendships. My friends in real life as well. We will use gaming as a platform to, you know, express ourselves and, you know, talk about certain issues we're going through. And I think it's the main way I prefer to communicate with friends rather than calling them up on the phone or texting them all the time.
If you do create a structured, safe environment, reach a broad range of young men that are having difficulties and are kind of at the beginning, that early stage of struggling with depression, gaming can be a very, very positive and very, very powerful way of joining people together. We had been talking about this idea in a loose form for a while, but the pandemic, the way that it kind of dropped on everybody, really accelerated our thinking that actually, no, we desperately need something like this. Through Movember and through this Social Connections grant, I think the audience of gamers and young men in particular that we think that we can speak to through this is vast. Without that component of being connected, being part of the community, feeling like you belong, you might not feel like you have a particularly meaningful, connected life. That kind of gives us a unique position as a project to fill that gap that is rapidly emerging.